So now we're going to talk a little bit about wind and how wind affects your putter. There's a few things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to putting in the wind. Most important thing would be the angle you're going to have your putter on according to the wind direction, as well as choosing the right stability to be able to fight that wind to give you an ideal putt. So when it comes to arguably the most difficult wind to putt in, that would be a headwind, so anything coming towards you. In that instance, if you are exposing the bottom flight plate to that wind, it's going to want to lift up in the air. Now you can certainly use this to your advantage if you're accounting for it. Now going the other way with it, with the nose down, that wind is going to stop it from lifting, and it's going to do the opposite effect. It's going to push it down towards the ground. So again, if you want to utilize this to your advantage, this is something that's most common, is putting the nose down into that headwind to get it down to the ground to keep it from getting out of control. Another thing with the headwind is when you're exposing the left and right wing, if the wind gets under that or over it, it's going to exaggerate those angles and make it turn quicker than it normally would without the wind. So going in the opposite direction from the headwind, we have the tailwind. So in the tailwind, when you have the nose down like this, it's going to have the opposite effect of the headwind. If it's windy enough, the tailwind will actually get behind your disc here and push it forward and up. You can use this to your advantage as well, but this is hard to predict. Having the nose up in a tailwind will push it down, but having it flat will help lock it in and help control the stability of it. You'll have the wind going underneath and over the top, creating equal pressure, and this is the best way you can control it in a headwind or a tailwind. And when it comes to crosswinds, flat is going to be your ideal angle, because anytime you're talking about crosswinds, when you're exposing the wings like this, it's going to exaggerate the angle, create instability in the flight. It's going to push it left, it's going to push it right, depending on which angle you expose. So if it's coming from the left to right, coming this way, if you have that left wing up, it's going to push it away off that line. But if you can put the top of the flight plate into that wind where it's pushing down on the top, it'll actually push it down to the ground. And this is a great way to control the height of the disc when it's a left to right wind. And the same goes for right to left. If you put this wing down to where the wind's pushing down on the top of the flight plate, it'll drop it to the ground. And if you expose the bottom of it, it'll get pushed with that wind direction. A few of the things you can do to be able to get a good read on the wind and figure out what the wind's doing at any given moment. If you have grass around your course, that's probably one of the best things you can do, is find a bit of grass here and slowly let it out of your hand to see what the wind's doing. Another thing to keep in mind when you're getting a wind read, if you're gonna utilize the grass to help you do that, is getting this grass away from your body. Because if you're right here, the wind is gonna be affected by your mass. So you wanna get it away from you and try it in a couple different areas. This is gonna get you the best read on what the wind is actually doing and not just what it's doing right around your body. If you don't have grass, you just have dirt. You can do the same thing with dirt. You can pick it up and see which ways the wind's blowing. So one thing I'm taking note of while I'm getting a read off the wind is not only what direction it's moving in, but how fast it's moving and how far it's traveled. And through experience, you'll be able to tell how windy it is based on how far this grass is going and how fast it's flying. So that's basically what I'm doing when I'm dropping the grass to get a wind read. If you don't have those at your disposal, or you want to increase your visualization where the wind's going, you can also use a chalk bag. I've seen that being used more and more these days, is getting some chalk in the air and then you can actually see it. That's probably one of the best things you can do to visualize the wind. And if you're still not sure and you want to have some additional references. One thing I would recommend is choosing a couple of trees, at least 2 different trees in different areas of the fairway or the putting green, and just take note of which way they're blowing and how the wind is affecting those trees, because you're going to have different layers of wind out there, and depending on the height you're going to have to put your putt on. Just getting a read of what's around you is not going to be as effective as getting a read 50 feet away or 100 feet away as well. So adding those all together to help triangulate which way the wind is blowing and how it's reacting in those objects around the basket is going to give you the best chance for success.